Welcome to ChiroSecure's Empowering Women in Chiropractic, the Facebook Live show for successful women by successful women, proving once again women make it happen. Join us each week as we bring you the best in business growth, practice management, social media marketing, networking, leadership, and lots more. If it's about women in practice and business, you'll hear it here. Now, join today's host, Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp, as she talks impact, exposure, and systems. And now, here's Dr. Nathalie.
Hi there, this is Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp, and welcome to our show, Empowering Women in Chiropractic. And I am going to do the entire talk today, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to talk about something that got introduced to me by a mentor of mine, and it's called a Repumeter. And I titled the talk, Are You Different Enough? Where do you fall on the Repumeter? And I think when we hear that, we're probably thinking, geez, I think my reputation is good and so forth. So that's not exactly what we want to talk about. We want to talk about how your community is perceiving you. I've been in practice for 22 years, and I know I somehow have a passion about making sure that I communicate the message properly to patients. So today what I'd like to go over, and I have Steve Lowell's permission, who's a mentor of mine and a coach of mine, to share his reputation meter. It is basically his baby, but it applies to any business. So what I'd like to do is go over it with our chiropractic clinics in mind. So let me share the screen with you here. All right, so again, credit to my coach and mentor, Steve Lowell, for the Repumeter. So first of all, what is the Repumeter? It's basically a gauge to measure our reputation and how people speak about us. I don't know when was the last time you Google your name. Sometime I do that once in a while, and it's a good thing to do. And of course, we're going to check the comments, and a lot of time it will come back to our landing pages and so forth. But Google yourself and Google your name and see what people might be saying about you, because it's one thing for us to talk about ourselves, but it's also important to look at what other people are saying. So like I mentioned earlier, the Repumeter can really apply to most businesses. So the first stage of the Repumeter is what is called the obscurity. And when you are in the obscurity phase, what it means is that nobody really knows that you exist. They may see your sign, they may drive by. You do have some patients, but the phone is definitely not ringing much. You're not also getting too many referrals. And you are in that stage when your headspace is all about getting your patient through the door. You're really trying to make a name for yourself. You're going out and networking, which again, there's nothing wrong with that. We all need to start, especially if you're starting new in a community. But you're busy doing the busy work of working in your clinic and not so much on your clinic and the business part of it. So oftentimes you're a little bit stressed out. You might be, really focusing on making sure you can make ends meet. And you might be a bit overwhelmed in that stage. And in that stage, it can also be a little bit painful. We all go to chiropractic school, think, what we do is the best thing ever, and that chiropractic is amazing, and people should be knocking down our door. But it's not that simple. And the first stage of that reputation model is, unfortunately, the obscurity stage. But if you play the game well enough and you keep doing, what you do with passion and purpose, you move on to what is called the next stage, which is the competitive stage. And the competitive stage, it means that you truly are in the game. It means that your community is really starting to know who you are, but they don't really know why they should go to you or any other chiropractor or any health practitioner for that matter. There's nothing that really separates you from the other people that are in your community. We call it being in a category of many. The world thinks also that it knows what you do, but you're not necessarily seeing the digestive issues and the headaches and the colics, or the people that want to optimize their nervous system and so forth. So people are coming in for you to remove their back pain. And you know that you are in this competitive stage when people refer to you for that purpose. And they think of you as, you fix back, and they refer to you as a chiropractor. Your name is truly associated with your title, which is the title of chiropractor. And when you're in that competitive stage, because you're working hard, you're trying to get out in the community as much as you can. You get invited to, oftentimes some lunch and learn. But oftentimes, and I'm sure many people listening to this show will relate to this, you're invited and they say, oh, we don't have a budget, but you'll get some exposure. And again, not saying that exposure is not great when you start, but I think all of us listening to the show have probably done some talks that from a business point of view, made no sense because, it was far from your office or whatever. So I think we've all been there, and not to say that it's not great to spread the message of chiropractic, but, you have to be a little bit more targeted in your marketing. In the competitive stage, you're not different enough. As I mentioned, you're a chiropractor. And oftentimes, and I'm sure this one has probably happened to some of you, a friend or an acquaintance will refer someone to your competitor. So, and you're thinking, hey, wait a minute here, you know what I do, and yet you didn't refer the person to me, or they even went to see another practitioner. So you're not really positioned well because they didn't really know that you could help them. And I think there are really three things that are essential for proper positioning. It's not necessary to be different, but I think we really have to position ourselves to be different. And to do so, we have to use a different kind of language. And, a lot of people will say, oh, yeah, the elevator pitch, that has a typical, when. And an example of this that my mentor tells all the time is the tennis instructor. If you say tennis instructor versus, when, your kids have so much energy and they're jumping off, all over the place. Well, I take them, I burn their energy, and I bring them back to you. So the language is completely different. So I think it's really important for us when we're positioning ourselves that people, understand how we might be different. But that's not necessarily enough. I think the big one that makes it so valuable is that people have to be able to repeat what you do. And I mean, I've had some reality checks throughout the years, asking patient at their midterm exam or at their final scan, describe what a subluxation is and describe what we do. And, you get a big question mark and you're thinking, oh my goodness, haven't you seen the slideshow? Haven't you seen the poster? Haven't you watched this and that? So I think the very important part with this competitive stage is that people have to be able to voice and repeat what you do. So whatever it is that you can do to implement that, to give them the tool that they can repeat, it's very valuable. So again, if you stay in the game and do a lot of things right and you stick to it, you reach what is called the next step. Sorry about that. The next stage, which is called the branding stage. And at that stage, there's, visualize a critical line after the B here. This is really where the magic can happen. And the branded stage mean that Now your name is associated with something different than your title and back pain. At the branding stage, people are talking about you differently. Your name start coming up with things that may not be the typical. Your name is going to get attached to different things, and I think you get to the branded stage with your name being attached to three different things, really. The first one is your results. And let's be clear here, when any business or any practitioner, somebody goes in for a specific complaint, you're almost now expected to deliver. So having results with our care is one thing. And again, I often get flustered when people expect result, and yet we deal with the human body here. It's not like a paint color that didn't turn the right color kind of thing. So the body is very complex. But at the end of the day, if you're a chiropractor and you give people relief for their aches and pain, it's almost expected. So you really have to give them outstanding results. And I know a lot of you get that in your office every day, that people are coming in for back pain or mid back pain or whatever. You start getting them adjusted, and now they're seeing a difference with their energy level, their digestion, and so forth. And you just like, So, I mean, we knew those things would most likely come along with the relief of the symptoms they came in, but this is, truly giving them outstanding results. The second thing that is very important is the experience. And we truly have to provide our patient with an amazing experience. So your clinic, your processes, your team, you have to create that experience. And I'm constantly, even after 22 years, asking my staff, what else can we do? What else can we do to make the patient feel like they're coming home? I often joke, giving the analogy of Cheers, the TV sitcom, not that we're serving beer at the clinic, but, everybody knows your name was the tagline of the show. Some of my staff might be even too young to know that, but they say that they do. But the amazing experience is that. And I think, if we want our patients also to refer to us, they have to be certain that the experience that they're having or that they have in your office is going to be reproduced for whoever that they refer. The third thing that is in the stage of the branded category is your expert insight or your intellectual property. And what I mean by this is, do you have expert insights in terms of your technique, your approach? Is there something that you do that's different? If it's the technique, you're an activator doctor, you're a Gonstead doctor, you do functional medicine, whatever that technique or that system that you've developed, you have to make sure that it becomes so strong that, you're being known for that. And I think, like I said, being in practice for so long, my practice is so different than when I started. I mean, my knowledge is different, my personality, not necessarily my personality, but, my confidence. I tested things that worked, adapted, and so forth. So I know as a human being, I morphed, and so did my practice. So that's what the expert insight is all about. And you are at the branded stage when you're getting tons of referral, and you are now getting digestion issues and headaches and colics, and people that just say, I'm healthy, I just want to make sure that I stay that way. I heard chiropractic or you could help me. So people are not just coming in for back pain, and you really truly are getting the word out that chiropractic is and can be more. And again, not to be judgmental here, some chiropractors watching this are strictly focusing on back pain. Fine, and that's great. Just make sure that your reputation and your communication reflects that. So once people have have attached your name to the expert insight, now we're moving on to what is called the category of one, or D1. And it means that you're no longer just a chiropractor in their mind. And I know it used to drive me nuts when people would say, oh yeah, go see her, she's not just a chiropractor. And I would just get upset, like, what's wrong with being just a chiropractor? But I know now what they meant. And, you know, it still bugs me a little bit, but I know what they mean. They're associating you with health and wellness, not just back pain. And when they have anything wrong with them, they're going to see you first. Again, if people are coming in because they're fighting off a cold and they want their immune system to work better, or if they have a new pain or ailment or weird symptom, they're going to come and see you first, and they'll say, oh, I'm going to go see doc, and she or he is going to know what to do. And if they don't, they're going to send me to the right person. So if you're on the wrong side of branding, which is, again, that imaginary line that I talked about, you're really focusing on, the competition and on price and on value. But once you get to what is called the category of one, then now you're creating, you're elevating your craft, and you're mastering it. So the question is, what stage are you? Let me put the next one here. Are you in obscurity? Are you in the competitive stage? Are you in the branded stage? And if you are, are you covering the three aspects of results, experience, and intellectual property? And great, if you have you made it to the category of one? So the question then becomes, are you where you want to be? And if you're not, what are the things that you can do? Now, if you just started a brand new practice, obviously, you get to, you need time to get to your community to know you. But if you've been at it for quite some time and you might be stuck in the competitive stage or even in the branded stage, and you're trying to pierce, what else can you do to make sure that people know exactly? And I think our message, our marketing has to be congruent with all that. And I know sometimes we'll say, I'm all about health and wellness, but if your marketing says completely the opposite or vice versa, then you are really not talking to the audience. So I know myself that when I first saw Steve Lowell do this Repumeter, I'm like, oh my God, it applies to us as chiropractor, and applies to many other businesses. But I think making sure that we know where we stand, figuring out if we're okay to be in the stage that we want to be in, and if not, what else can we do? Because like I said at the beginning, it's one thing for us to talk about ourselves a certain way, but if people out of your office can't communicate what you do, can't share with other people, or still think that, you're just, cracking backs kind of thing, you're not passing on or communicating with the patient completely. So I hope this information was valuable. I know it really was to me. And when I saw that, and I'm like, and I'm going to do one for our patient, because I think the Repumeter really gives us an insight on our world as chiropractors, as business owners. So what I've done is I've created one for our patients, and I've come up with 4 categories of patients that we see. And then I really gain clarity on who they are, how, what are their feelings, their internal talk and their external triggers and so forth. And by doing that, I really was able to target and zoom in a lot more on my message and my marketing. And also it was a great exercise to really realize who you want in your office and who you don't want to attract in your office. So I've come up with what I call a healthometer that really talks about the 4, stages of type of patient that we have, and how, I can now target a little bit more efficiently on who I want to attract, and then shifting them on that meter. So I will again give credit to Steve Lowell for this reputation meter. And if you want to find out more about Steve, his website is stevelowell.com. Thank you so much for joining, and I really hope that made you think. So are you in obscurity? Are you in the competitive stage? Are you in the branded stage? Or are you in the category of one? Are you D1 when people think of anything health, they go to you? And, a little side note here that, we're not just competing with other chiropractors. We're competing with other health practitioners in the sense that, people may decide to go to the gym to resolve their health issue. And again, not saying that might not be a great solution, but I think the market share in what people think we do or don't do has really changed in the last several years. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that information was valuable. Thank you so much to ChiroSecure for hosting these Empowering Women in Chiropractic. And next week, Dr. Nicole Lindsay is going to be sharing her message with you. So until my next show, where I am going to go over my healthometer. So I hope to see you then. Thank you and have a great week.
Join us each week as we bring you the best in business growth, practice management, social media marketing, networking, leadership, and lots more. If it's about women in practice and business, you'll hear it here. We hope you enjoyed this week's Facebook Live event. Please like us on Facebook, comment, and share. We look forward to seeing all of you next week for another episode of Empowering Women in Chiropractic. Now, go ahead and hit the share button and tell your friends and colleagues about the show. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day. This has been a ChiroSecure production.